Marcus is a young industrial hygiene professional and an avid drone racer. During a recent competition, an emergency response call comes in. A freight train carrying hazardous chemicals, including vinyl chloride monomer, butyl acrylate, ethylhexyl acrylate, ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, and isobutylene has derailed and threatens to damage a pristine mountain wilderness. Can Marcus find a way to use technology and experience to eliminate the danger? How quickly can Marcus adjust to changing working conditions to save the day? Marcus comes from Seattle, Washington. He was inspired to build a career in public health after seeing the debilitating effects of asbestos in his grandfather's life. He graduated from the University of Illinois at Chicago with a bachelor's degree in biology. He then worked in the safety office of a large construction firm before deciding that he wanted more. Intrigued by his prior studies in occupational and environmental health and safety, he returned to the University of Illinois to complete his master's and doctoral degrees at the university's Occupational Health and Environmental Health and Safety Resource Center. Upon graduation, Marcus found a new career opportunity with the United States Environmental Protection Agency. Marcus is very involved with his American Industrial Hygiene Association local section, helping to organize virtual workshops on current industrial hygiene and safety topics, and serving on a volunteer committee for the National Association. His is currently in the midst of studying to become a board-certified industrial hygienist and actively looking for more leadership opportunities. Whether working, camping, or drone racing, Marcus is an all-in kind of guy. Focus and precision are his kind of jam. So when hiccups happen, it's time to refocus. Recently, Marcus was racing his drone for a spot on the upcoming Rotocross Nationals circuit. His Blue Bee drone was on track for a first-place finish. And then, just his luck, an emergency ChloroRep alert popped up on his phone. An alert during downtime is not fun. It is a chance to really elevate your game, and a ChloroRep alert is no joke. It was important for Marcus to drop out, but unfortunately, he lost his chance at a national race. Stephen was born and raised in Bozeman, Montana. Fascinated by adventure from an early age, he enjoys mountain climbing, skiing, and hunting. Stephen graduated with an undergraduate degree in mining engineering and took a job in Canada, working on remote mining sites in the far north. After several years working as a health and safety coordinator, he returned to the United States to further his education and pursue a master's degree. Intrigued by the growing interest in sustainability, Stephen joined a regional firm and spent several years working to transform mining sites into greener platforms. During his career, Stephen became board-certified as an industrial hygiene and safety professional. He retired as a top executive for a multinational consulting firm and a leading expert in strategic sustainability. He also served for several years on the American Industrial Hygiene Association Board of Directors and the Product Stewart Society, and now actively advances sustainability strategies through public health policies and legislation at the state and territorial levels in the United States and Canada. Marcus was informed that a train derailed in a national forest upstate, about 15 miles from the nearest town. It was hauling several high-capacity vinyl chloride and chlorine tank cars, along with other tank cars carrying hazardous chemicals. 2 of the chlorine tank cars were derailed, and a fire had broken out around the outside of one of the vinyl chloride tank cars. Fortunately, emergency responders had already removed the injured from the area, but they detected a distinct, pungent odor of chlorine gas and vinyl chloride monomer in the air. There was concern about the integrity of the chlorine and vinyl chloride tank cars and the potential for the fire to impinge on them. If the tank car's integrity is compromised, the fire could increase internal pressure, resulting in a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. Stephen, an industrial hygienist over at Incident Command Center, called Marcus over to help with the field investigation. Marcus said, "Stephen, I'm over the site across the river. I can see at least one tank car is lying on its side. It looks like it may have hit some boulders from a recent landslide. Another tank car is engulfed in fire." Stephen replied, "Suit up and head in for a closer look." Marcus said, I have a better idea. I brought Alfie with me. Let me send the drone over first. Marcus said, I will do a preliminary sweep for any problem areas. Great idea, replied Stephen. Can you establish a data link with me so that we can monitor your sensor feeds here at the Incident Command Center? Not a problem, said Marcus. He noted that he was glad that he had put Alfie in the truck earlier, as he had planned to show off the drone at the local science exposition that weekend. Now, I can put Alfie through some field testing in the rain. Marcus used the two-way radio to tell Stephen, so far, the air quality seems within normal parameters. Let me drop in a little closer. Wait, there is a spike, and there is another for chlorine gas and vinyl chloride monomer in the air. I am going to zoom in. We have a cracked valve on the chlorine tank car, and the dome is ripped off, probably from the boulders along the railroad track, and there is exterior hull damage to the vinyl chloride tank cars. It looks like liquid chlorine is mixing with the rain. We have hydrochloric acid forming around the pool of liquid chlorine. Marcus said, contact with the air is forming a cloud of chlorine gas. This is going to get out of hand, quickly, Stephen, said Marcus. Stephen said, how big is the cloud of chlorine vapor now? Small, said Marcus, but the expanding acid leak is just going to get bigger with time, which will increase the size of the vapor cloud. I am also worried about the fire impinging on the outside of the vinyl chloride tank car. Right now, the tank car is holding steady, but for how much longer? These chemical exposures will eventually reach the edge of the embankment, noted Marcus. Stephen said, Katie, what is the weather outlook? Katie replied, the wind is shifting toward the spill area and increasing in intensity. A heavy rain squall is expected to roll in along the valley later on. Not good, said Stephen. Stephen said, these readings from our drone indicate the chlorine gas and vinyl chloride vapor cloud is going to be unmanageable soon. Jack, from the mayor's office, was sitting near Stephen in the Incident Command Center and said, chlorine and vinyl chloride stink, right? So the liquid will flow downhill along the ground to the river if it gets big enough. Yes, said Stephen. It will also dissipate into the air fast. There will be harm to the ecosystem if we do not contain or resolve it soon. Fire Chief Mike was sitting at the table and said, why, is that a problem? Stephen replied, chlorine gas and vinyl chloride vapor will contaminate the air, ground, and waterway as it moves slowly, poisoning the local fauna and flora. The sooner that we end the leak, the faster that cloud will disperse into the atmosphere and remove itself as an environmental threat. Jack said, so you will want to set up a long-term cleanup plan. Absolutely, said Stephen. But right now the immediate focus is stopping that leak and controlling the fire. Yes, Kate, said Stephen. The wind is definitely picking up and shifting southeast. That is going to push the cloud more towards the engine fire that is still burning. Mike replied, we cannot let that happen. Chlorine gas, vinyl chloride vapor, and a fire. That is a very explosive mix. Mike from the mayor's office chirped in and said, surely, there is something that we can do to prevent that. Marcus, said Stephen, can you task Alfie to remain on station and monitor throughout the storm? Marcus began thinking and said, the wind is already making it difficult for Alfie. I'm afraid the rotors I have are not tough enough for this kind of weather. It is draining the battery at a higher rate than I estimated. I have got maybe 10 minutes left. That is unfortunate, said Stephen. I may need you to suit up to keep monitoring things. Chief, can we set up a water fog along here? Chief Mike replied, sure, do you think that will help? Stephen noted, it will help dilute the vapor enough to slow its spread toward the fire. But ultimately, we still have to stop that leak. Marcus noted, necessity is the mother of invention. I did not want to risk their life just to monitor a dangerous situation, especially me. I mean, what good is technology if we cannot use it to reduce human risk? I wanted to do this as safely as possible, which meant finding a way to keep using Alfie. Marcus, are you suited up yet? We really need that feed, questioned Stephen. Marcus made a note to himself for later. Upgrade Alfie's engine. They need to be as powerful as the Blue Bee with a higher battery capacity. Marcus, said Stephen. Wait a minute, said Marcus to himself. Sorry, Bee, but right now I need your wings. I hope that I do not regret this. Sorry, Stephen, replied Marcus. I have an idea. Give me a minute. Marcus noted that it actually took only a few minutes to swap out a few drone parts. Thankfully, many drone parts are modular, so his field modifications did not take long. Soon, Stephen said, "Marcus, we are getting the drone feed again. I thought you did not have enough power." Marcus replied, "I modified Alfie using some of my racing drone's parts. This should hold up easily against those winds for several hours." Marcus noted to himself that he hoped that what he had done did not cripple the Blue Bee irreparably, which meant that his shot for the national competition would be postponed for a year. With an eye back in the sky, it was back on the job. It was time to focus on stopping the leak. Marcus called out to Stephen, "Does the HAZRES team have a universal pump system on board?" Stephen inquired, "It is standard equipment on their trucks now. Why?" Marcus noted that it was time for him to step up and suit up. They could set up a temporary containment system using the water pump. He then imagined that they could transfer the liquid chlorine and the vinyl chloride monomer from the damaged, burning tank cars into empty ones. Fortunately, Stephen had the foresight to dispatch several tank cars as soon as it became clear there might be a leak or a potential BLEVE. The next part meant that Marcus needed a hazmat protective suit. He noted that he did not know how hazmat responders could wear these suits all the time. He recalled that he always got sick when he wore one. It was hot and confining inside. On the other hand, he justified the need for wearing this level of protection because you are basically walking into a cloud that could kill you, after all. He also realized that anything can happen during an emergency response. Marcus checked Alfie's feet again as the empty tank cars arrived on site. So far, it looked like the water spray barrier was working, but just barely. The cloud continued to increase in size. The leak was getting worse. Marcus knew that Stephen was watching over him from afar, which was comforting. He would keep a critical eye on things while the emergency responders tackled the immediate problem. Marcus noted that the emergency responders were ready. He led them all the way, armed with a high-capacity fluoroprotein sprayer. Basically, it is a glorified fire extinguisher. The scariest moment was stepping into a visible gas cloud for the first time. He observed that you are surrounded by something that could kill you, and yet you are safe inside the protective equipment. The experience is so surreal. Marcus caught his breath as he entered the cloud. He slowly let out his breath and focused on the task. He said to himself, "It is time to get down to business." Marcus saw that the foam would only temporarily stop the leak long enough to secure the pump sleeve around the remains of the dome. The emergency responders slowly and methodically secured the pump apparatus and hoses. There was no time to think about the killing fog that swirled around them in the evening air. Soon, they had everything set up, including the connections to the empty tanker car valves. Finally, they double-checked their work. With a clear sign from everyone, they started the transfer process. Everything worked perfectly. Stephen continued to monitor things from Alfie's sensor. Marcus exclaimed, "Stephen, it looks like we are finished. I am looking forward to getting out of this suit." "I bet," said Stephen. "Great work over there." Alfie remained on station overnight to monitor the site. The rain and wind were rough, but the modifications that Marcus made to Alfie were more than up to the task. The chlorine and vinyl chloride vapor cloud continued to thin throughout the night. By dawn, the toxic cloud was gone. Alfie's sensors verified that everything had returned to normal. The morning sky was bright and clear. Now was the time for the recovery teams to shine, as they prepared to remove the train wreck and reopen the railroad track to traffic. Stephen exclaimed with overwhelming joy, "The hazard threat is now zero. Thank you, everyone, for your hard work." "Great job," said Stephen to Marcus. Marcus replied, "I do not know how any of us could have done this without your help." "Same to you," said Stephen. "You did some stellar work out there in the field. Listen, I want you to join the planning team tomorrow to help us with the long-term cleanup." "Wait, what?" said Marcus. "I have a qualifying race to prepare for." Stephen noted, "Marcus, you know as well as I do that industrial hygienists like us, well, our work is never done. Especially when it comes down to the long-term safety of the people that we serve every day." Marcus thought for a moment. Stephen was right. "I do what I do because I want to help people live happy, safe, and productive lives. He knew that helping with the planning team was the right move. What we do here and now resonates in the world around us. That is why I am an industrial hygienist. I am an IH,